Welcome to Living Out Love. We're your hosts, Daryl and Betty Conley. So glad you joined us on today. We are excited because we have another topic that we feel will help you to grow in your marriage and become stronger in your love and your relationship. So today we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
We're going to talk about how to solve some problems.
Many
marriages and relationships, they face different challenges. We face different problems, but many of us may not know how to solve those problems. So we're going to talk about some things tonight that will help you all navigate through those areas, because we have experienced this ourselves. We know that it worked, and I do feel like if you apply these principles, that it will also be a help to your relationship.
That's right, it will. You know, the couples that are most satisfied with their relationships are the ones who work together to solve their problems.
Right.
When they practice safe ways to talk about their problems and solve those problems from big or small situations as a team on a regular basis. Did you hear? As a team on a regular basis, they talk about how they're going to solve those problems. And when they do so, they release some of the negative energy that is naturally built up in the day-to-day maintenance of a relationship. And so, you know, it's impossible to get around and not have some conflict and have some issues in our marriages and have things that we disagree about. And we go about it different ways on how to handle it. And sometimes we never become effective or never resolve that situation because we didn't handle it or didn't finish handling it, you know, or we never accomplished anything.
Actually never really targeted that particular problem. And sometimes when we see that in our relationships, we have a tendency to kind of sweep it under the rug. Like, I don't want to deal with it. So we just put it on the back burner, and that's not good to do because it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. But we're going to talk tonight about how to solve these problems.
We're going to help you solve these problems. There are 4 basic techniques that can help you to be effective and to grow and to become closer and to be more intimate with each other. Because, see, these conflicts can keep us apart.
That's right.
These common problems that we all face in a marital relationship. It can be from money, it can be communication, it could be children, it could be work, household chores, relatives, amen. It can be a host of things that can cause problems, but what we have to do is we have to identify those problems that we have so that we can address those problems. We need to identify them and know that our problem is this.
That's right.
Is it money? Is it children? Is it relatives? Is it, you know, work? Whatever it is it respect, disrespect, or a lack of respect, shall I say? You know, whatever it is, we have to identify those things. And once we identify them, we're going to give you 4 techniques to help you to resolve those situations and those problems in your marital relationship, whether they're big or small. You know, there are some XYZ statements that we can make, but we need to identify that problem, find out what it is, and the first step to resolving any problem is to discuss the problem.
Yes, that's so important.
We must discuss the problem. See, we discuss it as a team, because notice, as a team, the team win.
Right. Exactly.
It's not I win, you win. It's the team that win. And when we discuss it as a team, then what it does, it helps us to connect.
That's right.
It helps us to connect even better and become better as a team. See, the problems that we have and the disagreements that we have that can lead to frustration, that can lead to anger, that can lead to stress, and neither one of us feel like we are accomplishing anything, those things can cause us to become disconnected.
one or the other begin to draw back, or
Right.
when there's a wall that you put up, and then that breaks the line of communication, and then we're not really getting anywhere.
Right.
The problem's still lying on the table,
It's still
and
on
we
the table.
hadn't really targeted that problem and really got to the meat of it, the core of it, and to get that situation, that issue resolved.
That's right. So we have to discuss it. We have to
Mm-hmm.
discuss it. It helps the relationship when you work together
Mm-hmm.
and taking the time to have a discussion
Yeah.
that says, I want to know and understand you better because I love you.
Wow. That's,
See,
yeah.
I want to know and understand you better. So
Mhm.
we take the time to have a discussion
Right.
because what that says to the spouse, the other spouse, is that you really love them,
Right.
that you would take the time to want to understand them and understand the problem. So
That's good.
let's see, what is our problem? Our problem is finance. Let's just say it's money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the problem is money. Whatever the problem, that's one of the main common problems that we have in a marital relationship.
That's right.
Is number one is to discuss the problem. Our problem is money, or is our problem communication, or is it children? Whatever it is, we need to discuss the problem impact
Wow.
of, or discuss the full impact of the problem.
Yes.
So we need to talk about how this problem affects us.
Yes.
See, if it's money, here's how it affects me.
Right.
Here's
right.
how it affects you. So
Right,
we need
right.
to discuss that, its full impact. We need to discuss what expectations are being met or not being met. See, and we need to discuss what happens if we let the problem go without trying to resolve
That's
it.
right,
So
right.
this is why we need to talk about it. Here's the impact of the
Right,
problem.
right.
Here is the expectation that I expect or you expect that is
Right.
not being met from the problem. And then here is the problem we'll have if we don't resolve this problem.
Wow. That's good.
If we don't
Yes.
resolve this financial problem, if we don't resolve the communication, if we
Right.
don't talk about the children, would this problem fix itself or would it get worse?
Right.
See, so we need to discuss this problems and help each other understand this. So discussing the problem is very important. So in discussing that problem, baby, secondly, we need to set an agenda with the
Right.
problem.
Yes.
We need to
yes.
set an agenda. In other words, okay, here's the problem. It's finances.
Right. Right.
If that's the problem, then when we sit down to discuss it,
Right.
our agenda is we're going to address the finances.
Right. Because that's what we're talking about. We're not going to talk about anything else
Yeah,
at that time, because that's what's on the table.
right.
That's the plan. That's the agenda that we're going to talk about. This problem is finances. We're going to talk about the children.
Right.
We're going to talk about anything else. We're going to focus on finances.
Right. And we're not going, like you said, we're not going left field on
Right,
it. We're not going
right.
to, we're
We're
supposed
not
to be
bringing
sitting down
out
talking about
everything
this.
else
Yeah. And we're
in
bringing
there.
up something else
Right,
in the
right.
past
Right.
and really not even past financial mistakes.
Exactly.
We want to deal with the current problem
The problem
and the
that's
current
at
mistake.
hand.
So most problems are too large to try to handle all at once.
Yeah.
It's better to pick a small, manageable part of the problem to work on. See, a lot of times we can't try to fix the whole problem. Like it's like it took us years to get in debt,
Right.
and we can't try to get out of debt overnight.
One discussion.
Yeah, out of one discussion. We
Right.
have to agree upon the problem in mind. We need to discuss this problem and agree upon the problem that is in mind or that's at hand and take bite-sized pieces out to fix the problem.
Right.
So again, if it's money, then we need to take bite-sized pieces. Maybe it might be maxing out the credit card. Or or not staying in with the debt that we have or the budget
Not
that we
staying
have.
within the budget.
In the budget that we have.
Right.
So, this is the agenda. Our problem is this, and this is what we're going to talk about.
Right.
That way, when we hear this, we need to talk, it doesn't be something dreadful because it'd be a long, drawn out.
Oh, what she or he has to talk about now.
All day, yeah. Take it
make
up
it
to date.
regretful. It should be, okay, honey, you want to discuss a particular matter that's at hand.
Right.
So we're going to lay it out on the table. We're going to talk about this one thing, and we're going to work on this one thing so that we can get that one particular thing resolved.
That one thing resolved.
If it's finances in there, what we're going to talk about.
That's what we're going to talk about. What are we going to do to kind of resolve and bring some peace and some rest and to get to the place where we have that abundance or whatever, so that we can avoid some of the stress and the frustration that goes along with financial problems.
Right, because we often do teaching or have done teaching before on some of the main reason why relationships in married couples have the enemy fight in this area is finances and communication.
Right.
So we don't sit down and talk about it before people say before the elephant gets so large in the room.
Right.
To where it gets so overwhelming to where it brings a lot of friction into the home.
So we discuss it. We set an agenda.
Right.
This is what we're going to talk about. And then thirdly, we sit down and we put our minds together and brainstorm how we're going to correct this problem. What can we do? What are some of the brainstorm steps that we can take, baby? What's some of the brainstorm steps that we can take?
One of the brainstorm steps that we can take, write down each idea as it's generated. Got to write down what we're going to talk about, what plan we're going to take in order to bring some, peace, bring some ends together in pertaining to finances. We got to consider each other's idea, even if it don't even sound right. Everybody, each one of us should have our own perspective on how we're going to deal with the issue concerning finance. So we have to be open and be able to listen to each other. Then we got to try also to make all suggestions positive. We ain't gonna say, well, if you hadn't spent, and that may be even the issue. One or the other may have went over the budget without telling the other spouse. Then now that's beside the point. Let's see how we're going to tackle.
I get that all the time.
So let's see how we're going to resolve the issue. And then we don't criticize or make comments about each other's suggestions as well. So we have to be open and respect each other's opinion. We can have this bad by body languages. I don't care what you say. It's going in one ear and out the other. No eye, rolling of the eyes or making faces or making gestures. Let's just sit and respect each other's opinion and perspective when it comes to talking about resolving finances.
That is so.
Even though it might hurt, because if you are the one that's steadily going over the budget, then somewhere it has to be a line drawn to look, we got to get this resolved, or else we're going to keep visiting this, going back down this same path in our finances, and we don't want to do that.
Right. And so what we have to do in this brainstorming is we have to do it in a way, as she said, that we are putting it all out on the table and we're taking little bits at a time. Let's do this. Let's say she took my idea. We worked it, and perhaps it worked or maybe it didn't. Then it doesn't say, well, that's why I didn't, next time I ain't gonna want to use your idea. No, because we put different scenarios and opinions on the table. Then let's try what you thought about. And that works, then okay, we'll work that, but then something else I said might work later down the road. It might wind up being better for us at the next stage
Right.
of trying to
Right.
correct
But
this
whatever
problem.
decision that you make as a couple, then work on that, go ahead and come into agreement. So then that way, you got you got God's glory up on it, and you got God's favor on that area. So whatever this, however way you all work it out, it'll work out with ease.
Right.
But then if it's if it don't work out, so you know what, I don't think this working, or it's not seeming to be working, then go back to the table again with that agenda of talking about finance and say, okay,
Right.
you know what, that didn't work, honey. So let's do this approach right here and see how it works.
Or it may be you may have to bring each other back in remembrance of what you said.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it wouldn't have worked.
Right, well,
we didn't work it long enough.
Long enough.
We talked about it, but we got up and we forgot what we talked about.
Right.
And therefore it didn't work because we didn't work the plan.
We didn't work
so,
it.
You discuss it, you set an agenda on what we're going to talk about, instead of just rambling about a whole bunch of other things, what we're going to talk about. Sit down and brainstorm, come up with ways that you can resolve the problem together. That's why we said couples who work on fixing their situations, they work on it on a regular basis. It's not a one time is all. Well, we talked about that and we forget about it and go on and so forth. So you discuss the problem, you set an agenda concerning the problem, then you brainstorm and you pray and we submit to one another's opinion concerning the problem. And then lastly, to go with that is you want to agree upon the problem. See, one of the reasons that many couples struggle with finding a solution that stick is that they try to find the perfect solution that will meet both their needs now and forever. See, they struggle with it because it's like a one and done. You can't do that. Thinking of a solution, it takes time. It takes time because these little moments that you have, these little bites, these little steps, it give you more freedom to try different options and increase your chance of discovering something that will work. See, as we said, it might be, let's do this for right now. And then if that works, let's just stay with what we know works. Let's stay in the guides of what we have talked about, is that let's not overspend without communicating with each other. I mean, it might work if we just tell each other
what move
we're going to make for people who are sharing the same account. For someone else who have their own different accounts, then let's talk about, well, I'm going to pay this, that, and the other, or maybe one pays all the bills, depending on everybody's finances and everybody's situation is different. But you want to agree upon that problem, whatever it is, because it's important that you do so. And so in order to do that, remember, discuss it, amen, set an agenda, brainstorm, and then agree upon that problem. You have to come to agreement, but here are the main key if we want to be successful in accomplishing this. There are three keys to doing this. The first one is we have to do your part.
Yeah, that's good.
See, the first one is doing your part. Do what you can do. See, if we want this to work, do your part. Don't be worrying about what I'm doing or what, and I'm not worried about what you're doing. Do your part in what we have agreed upon. What we have discussed. What technique or method we used in resolving this, doing your part, right? And so it's important not to be trying to think what the other person's doing, trying to figure out what they doing, and well, he this, that, and other. No, she did it. You do your part.
That's it. That's so important.
So if we want this success, we have to do our part. Every couple has problems to solve. and they don't go away by themselves.
That's right.
They just sneak into the time when you're trying to relax, have fun, or get other things done. I mean, no, we all have those problems, and they don't go away.
That's right.
See, but what happens when you're trying to relax, when you're trying to have fun, that's when those problems come back. That's when somebody say, "Can we talk?"
Right, especially when you're asleep or you relaxing, or you know whatever you may be doing something that right now you may be maybe cooking or maybe just taking a nap.
Right.
And you say, you want to talk? Is this a good time to talk? No,
time?
Right now I'm taking a nap.
Right.
It's not a good time to talk.
It's not a good time to talk. But you have to realize, rather than sliding the problem, it's better to decide to be proactive in the problem, in solving the problem. So in other words, you want to decide and not slide.
Right. Yes.
Whatever decision you make, you want to decide and stay with that decision. Stay with that decision. When the problem come up, you decide whether it's a good time or not about the problem.
Right.
And here's the thing. The person that says this is not a good time, they have the responsibility, he or she has the responsibility to set the time to talk about it in the near future.
That's it. And when you know what, it's not time right now. It's not time right now because I'm in the middle of something. But honey, let's what about tomorrow at such and such time? Then that way you both have come into agreement. You both know what time that you're gonna talk about this particular matter.
Right, right. So whatever the problem, you decide on the problem, and whoever decides that now is not the right time,
then respect that.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, this little allergies thing going on. But as he was saying, but he or she should take responsibility for setting up that time to talk at a later time.
That's right.
It's not the time right now. I'm in the middle of cooking. I'm in the middle of taking care of the children. So just not the time right now. So it's better, rather than sliding into the problem, it's better to decide. Let's be proactive and set this. Because then if not, then that's not a good time to talk. We're really not going to get anywhere because my mind is not on what we're getting ready to talk about. Right. But I'm going to sit there and I'm just not going to be engaged because it's not the time.
It's not
so
the
they
right
both
time.
have to be in agreement in deciding. Then the second thing is decide to have regular problem-solving meetings.
Right.
As I said, it's okay to set up a meeting. Well, maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow at, when the kids get home and
or the
dinner.
Kids gone.
Yeah, or even the kids are gone. That'll be a better time when the children are gone.
Yeah.
That way you can think of a regular routine time when you're dealing with the problem a bit at a time.
Right, that is so good. And along with that, with the remaining time we have, is you want to make it safe.
Right.
It's important that it's safe, that you want to be where at the time of discussing the problem, it's safe where we're not heated. That's why you wait and talk about it when it's the right time. Right. Because you want it to be where we can be vulnerable and be open with each other, and we can share our hearts and share what we really feel that will make us feel, that will make us feel that we are resolving this problem. Right. And we want it to be safe, not something that it blow up into a big heated argument. Yes. One is offended and things of that nature, because it will cause one of us to shut down. That's right. And so these are just 4 simple techniques, but yet they're powerful. That's right. When you learn how to operate in these techniques. And it takes time, it takes practice, it takes diligence, it takes reminding each other, it takes one of us saying to the other person, hey, we need to talk, we need to set a meeting again, we need to discuss some things because we have a problem and we need to address this matter. And if we do it in just those simple ways, let's discuss it. Let's set an agenda that this is what we want to talk about. Because, hey, the game on, my favorite cowboy show or whatever's on, and you don't want to take from that person because
Right.
they disengage,
Right.
engage when you got them at a time where their
Right.
mind
There's
is
too much
set.
distraction. You want each other's undivided attention
Right.
because that's it's very important that spouses sit down and we talk
Right.
at a given time, a good time, a quiet time where there's no distractions and no interruptions during that time.
That is so true. So we hope that this has been a blessing to you and it has helped you as it has us. And I know if you'll begin to put it in action,
Yes.
it will bring you guys closer. It'll cause a greater connection
That's
in
right.
your marriage and in your
Right.
relationship. And you'll begin to see how you can resolve some of the issues you've been battling with over and over and over again.
That's right.
So we're so glad. Hey, we'd love for you to be a partner with us. If this is your first time viewing this broadcast, helping us to continue to come on each and every weekend with words of encouragement, words that will help build your marriage. It is our passion to impact a culture of marriage through unconditional love for one another from the Word of God. And so until next week, we encourage you to remember to live out love every day.